DC News Now, taking over the district.
This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back.
The president federalizing the DC police and bringing in National Guard.
Where the hell is the humanity in what is going on?
We'll break down what this means for families coming up in a live report.
And communities in wards 7 and 8 feeling the decision misses the mark.
But the focus is, we've forgotten that it's the community.
The mixed feelings and concerns with an already strained relationship with the police.
We're talking about more heat, more humidity through the work week, and also a chance for some thunderstorms. More details on that coming up.
We're helping you stretch your dollar, the new program for Maryland families to save on their electric bills.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for DC News Now at 9. I'm Susan Tran.
And I'm Mark Hall. Chris Flanagan has the night off. President Trump federalizing D.C. police and calling in the National Guard. The president doing all this by invoking a section of the district's Home Rule Act.
Now, he says it is to fight what he calls a crime emergency.
To help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C.
Danger, danger, there's a fascist in the White House. Danger, danger.
And there you have it. Protesters also rallying against the president's actions from DuPont Circle over to the White House. City leaders are also pushing back, including Mayor Muriel Bowser, but she says she will comply with the law that grants the president authority to swoop in.
And DC News Now's Ben Dennis joins us live from outside the White House. Ben, when can we expect to see the National Guard on district streets?
Well, this news no more than 12 hours old coming out of the White House. Uncertainty is looming all across D.C. tonight. And the Trump administration says we can expect to see National Guard troops sometime within the next week. No word exactly where they'll be in the timing. Roll the clip.
Going to take our capital back. We're taking it back.
A partial federal takeover of Washington, D.C.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse.
President Trump announcing an unprecedented move from the White House. 800 members of the National Guard are being deployed to city streets to fight crime, eradicate homelessness, and, in the president's words, beautify the city. The president flanked by top law enforcement officials, including Attorney General Pam Bondi, whose Department of Justice will oversee D.C. police.
Let me be crystal clear. Crime in D.C. is ending and ending today.
After the news, protests popped up advocating for D.C.'s autonomy.
I think it's basically right now a distraction from the Epstein files, but it's also a step on the 2025 takeover of the country.
While the president claims crime is out of control, D.C. police data shows violent crime has dropped 26% so far this year, and dropped 35% from 2023 to 2024. Just this past January, the Department of Justice even acknowledged violent crime had reached a 30-year low. Mayor Bowser on defense.
I believe that the president's view of D.C. is shaped by his COVID-era experience during his first term.
The president appointed the head of the Drug Enforcement Administration, Terry Cole, to be acting D.C. Police Commissioner. But Mayor Bowser says MPD's leadership is not changing.
Chief Pamela Smith is the chief of the Metropolitan Police Department, and its 3,100 members work under her direction.
The president also said that he may order members of the military into D.C. city streets, but he didn't think that was necessary right now. Additionally, he's allowing the Department of Defense to talk to governors and discuss potentially sending in their own National Guard units into the district. Outside of the White House, Ben Dennis, back to you.
All right, Ben. And as Ben Dennis just mentioned there, the move includes 800 National Guard members, but a spokesperson for the Army says that they will not be openly carrying weapons and they will not be acting in direct law enforcement roles. Instead, the service members will be able to defend themselves and have weapons that will be nearby. And we can expect to see the National Guard troops over the next 3 to 4 days. It's a conflict of emotions, though, for so many families in the district who have been asking for more resources to fight crime.
And DC News Now's Max Mosilla has more from a Ward 8 leader who calls the president's move a complicated one for the community.
1 month ago, this heartbroken community came together at a vigil, sharing hugs and calls for action.
We have forgotten the innocence of our youth.
Marcus Hickman led those calls. His niece Kelly was shot and killed.
I was torn.
Today he's feeling mixed emotions after hearing President Trump roll out his plan to take over D.C. police and deploy the district's National Guard.
Something needs to be done to protect our citizens a bit more.
On the one hand, he sees his loved ones and neighbors injured and killed in his community more than others.
The intimidating factor, especially over here in Ward 7 and 8, you know, there's already a strained relationship between us and police. So to now have an additional policing, you know, that's a concern.
Numbers from D.C. police show that when violent crime does happen, it tends to happen in communities east of the river. About 41% of all violent crime over the last 2 years happening in Wards 7 and 8. But just like the rest of the city, we're also seeing a decrease in violent crime in these two wards, down nearly 25% compared to this time last year.
We have a law enforcement part, but we can't forget the policy, and not just the policy, but the policy implementation.
Hickman is still pushing for changes. Regardless of how the next 30 days go, he wants more to be done to protect the lives of those in Wards 7 and 8, hoping that stories of loss in these communities can spark changes too.
I think that when one person is impacted and it makes more of a national news than the everyday citizen.
People in Ward 7 and 8.
People in Ward 7 and 8, it's like you're missing it.
In Southeast Washington, Max Marcella, DC News Now.
There's also plenty of reaction pouring in from all across the DMV. The district's attorney general posting on social media, the administration's actions are unprecedented, unnecessary, and unlawful.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore weighing in, saying in part his decision, quote, lacks seriousness and is deeply dangerous. Now, while talking about crime rates, President Trump mentioned several other cities, including Baltimore. Well, Governor Moore says that violent crime rates continue to drop and the president should look at what they're doing to bring those numbers down.
And you can see the full coverage of President Trump's takeover of D.C. police on our website, dcnewsnow.com. There you'll also find his previous efforts to federalize the district, plus a breakdown of D.C. police numbers showing violent crime is at a historic 30-year low.
All right, let's get a check on our forecast with Chief Meteorologist Jackie Lair.
All right, Jackie, my goodness, we had a gorgeous weekend, and today, not too shabby.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad out there, but we're going to continue to notice more of that humidity, more of that heat building in. It's going to feel much more summer-like through the rest of this week compared to what we started off, say, the month of August with. I mean, last week, it was a nice break from all that high heat and high humidity, too. But this week, it's right back at it. And out there right now, for this time of the night, we're still holding into those lower 80s for parts of the area, including D.C. right at 80, lower 80s in Hagerstown, seeing those 70s, though, for the rest of the I-81 corridor, upper 70s for Fredericksburg. And those dew points, it's muggy out there right now. We're going to continue to see those higher dew points continuing to stick around through the next several days. Satellite radar, a wider view. This high pressure just off towards our east. That's keeping us dry and quiet and keeping that system down across the Carolinas just south of our area. That system farther off towards the north and west, out towards the Great Lakes region. We'll be watching as that disturbance moves its way closer towards us. Lows tonight falling back in the upper 60s to lower 70s, so relatively warmer compared to what we had over the course of the weekend. So a little bit of a difference out there as we wake up tomorrow morning. Some patchy fog too, so watch out for that for the morning commute. Temperatures likely starting off in those lower 70s, back into those lower 90s as we get towards tomorrow afternoon with a chance for a spot thunderstorm. So I'll go over those details, time it all out with the rest of that 7-day forecast in just a few minutes.
Jackie, thank you. A Virginia man is facing several charges accused of sexually abusing a child. Fairfax County police say that the parent of a child found Akbar Yunusi with the child in a car, but before police arrived, the 50-year-old took off and ended up flying to Istanbul, Turkey. Police arrested Yunusi when he flew back to the U.S. earlier this month. They believe that he met the child through social media. He's being held until his next court hearing in November.
The man convicted in the 2023 killing of a Maryland mother was sentenced to life without parole. Rachel Morin's family saying at the sentencing, while nothing can bring her back, they do find comfort in knowing justice has been done. Victor Martinez Hernandez was found guilty of raping and brutally murdering Morin as she was jogging on a trail in suburban Baltimore. She's the single mother of 5. While Martinez Hernandez, who's originally from El Salvador, was in the country illegally. Now to a dumpster fire in the district, just shutting down this stretch of Wisconsin Avenue in Northwest earlier. Take a look and you can see the scorched trash spilling onto the roadway right near the Safeway here. Firefighters say they had to dump out some of the trash to spray it down in order to prevent another fire from sparking. Now to some news about DC News Now's sports reporter Jake Rahm and his wife Kelsey. They are part of a disc dog competition with their pups Archer and Albie.
Yeah, here he is with Archer, and they just qualified, oh, by the way, for the World Championships. And they scored their 29 points in their latest competition, and now head to Chattanooga, Tennessee for the Worlds. Now that competition is happening on September 20th at the Skyhounds World Canine Disc Championship. We certainly wish them the best of luck.
Indeed, so impressive.